Download and watch it live on Sport TV Now app.
Welcome to qualifying for round 7 here on the racing streets of Monaco. Oliver Rowland is the man to beat. His blistering early season pace has earned him a 34-point lead in the Drivers' Championship. But Pascal Wehrlein, Antonio Felix da Costa and rookie sensation Taylor Barnard lead the chasing pack. In the team standings, Porsche sit top after a strong recent run, with Nissan hot on their heels. Mahindra have now moved to third, ahead of McLaren, Andretti and DS Penske. With a second race
yesterday in spectacular style. Oliver Rowland, once again, a strategic masterclass from the Briton. Just touching on Dan Ticktum, as I mentioned, some problems for him in FP3. The problems being that his car ground to a halt at Larascas after he saved quite a scary moment. But you can see the pit lane absolutely soaked as the drivers head out onto the circuit. So 7 minutes left then of this session. Oh, Rowland, a massive snap of oversteer as he comes across the timing line. He was off down at Saint-Devote in practice earlier on this morning. Let's have another look at some of the slips and slides that Rowland's had. This is down into Mirabeau, and he's actually had to pirouette the car round there.
Beautifully avoiding the barrier. A little bit of skill, a little bit of good fortune.
Let's have a look here. So going down, snatches what looks like the rear there, and spins it round beautifully. Points for the pirouette for Oliver Rowland, but not necessarily the fastest way to negotiate this circuit.
Well, I don't think you get 9 lives in cat terms around Monaco. You get maybe 2, and that's one of them gone. So he's got to be super careful to keep out the barriers.
Oh, he slid wide there.
Everyone's sliding wide there, aren't they? It's downhill going into the Fairmont hairpin, and
he's trying the wet line, so that's not, what he's doing there, driving around the outside of Portier. That's, I don't think, a mistake. I think
you've got to be out there. You've got to be building your laps just in case you get a red flag or something like that. But equally knowing that the fastest lap is going to be very probably last person across the line.
Yeah, the jeopardy, of course, of a yellow flag, a red flag in this session is very much increased by the track conditions, and you can see Rowland on an absolute flyer at the moment.
You're just about to tell us what percentage that is, having your mathematical mind.
Well, it's a third. It's roughly 1/3 added on top, 33%.
Da Costa goes to the top of the pile then by 1.1 seconds, so inducing the understeering, getting some core temperature, and some cues likewise improving as well. So this is just going to be a plethora of improvements at the end of the track conditions, but lots of other drivers also set to do the same.
This is the Da Costa thing now. So look, what does he do now? Because he's not going to get the next lap, actually, is he? This is their last lap.
Yeah, this is it.
So Da Costa's last lap's being compromised here.
Yeah, so Da Costa then, 3rd place at the moment, currently through into the duels, but is he going to make it?
Because, clearly this is his last lap. The checker flag's out.
Yeah, checker flag is now out then, so Ticktum it is who's through ahead of Rowland, Da Costa and Hughes. Timing screens lighting up at the moment. Da Costa was fastest in the middle sector, but has his lap been compromised by Mitch Evans? Evans has set personal best sectors. He's currently making it through to the duels and not going any further. Classification then of Group A. It's Nick de Vries for Mahindra. Da Costa. Over to Group B then, Pascal Wehrlein for Porsche, Barnard for McLaren, who was on pole here yesterday, Dennis, Gunther, Vern, Muller, Van Dorn, Bird, Cassidy, Buemi and Dan Ticktum are the 11 drivers who will be going out on track in this session. We've already seen Group A out a few moments ago, and there was...
last lap, I think.
That would be a vital piece of information for them to tell us at the same time. Not only that is his lap time deleted, but what the impact that has on the running order.
So Cassidy then, step into the unknown for him here. Again, no wet running for anyone.
Honestly, it takes 10,000 hours, so 1,000 laps. Probably didn't take him that long, but it all adds up to the learnings for the team. One thing I'm surprised is that there isn't a more obvious dry line that started to appear, given that we haven't had any rain. And I know there's not all cars out in that first session, but you would imagine you get a lovely little power slide there across the line. So 10 out of 10 for style, but it probably cost them a bit of time.
New tyres on the car, so they get 2 sets of tyres over the course of the weekend here in formulaE, and what you generally see in practice is they'll go out and scrub a set of tyres and so on, but some have opted for a brand new set of boots here in this session in the hope that it'll give them a bit more grip.
Yeah, with a full wet, when you have a differentiation between slicks and wets, as we've got a nice slow-mo here of Pascal Wehrlein, then when you've got a dedicated wet tyre, then having that little bit of shine on the rubber isn't an issue. On a tyre that has to go across all sessions, that can be quite challenging to get that shine off, get some heat. You will have sharper edges, which definitely helps cut through any standing water.
Goes second fastest then so far. So again, it's going to be a case of last driver to cross the line. Just in terms of where we're at for lap times, we were down to the 155s at the end of Group A a few moments ago. We've just gone into the 154s, courtesy of a John issue for him in the pit boost section of it. Meant that he essentially had to run to a different target, and it messed up his entire race. And he felt that a victory was slipping through his fingers as he runs off at Saint-Devote, spins it round, lights up the rear tyres. That might actually do him a benefit because he'll get a bit of heat into the rear.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, has someone gone into the barrier? I think they have, and I think it is. I'm just trying to find it on our board. I think it's Sam Bird that's coming to the wall, and there's a red flag out. So Sam Bird in the wall by the looks of things. We're in some drama at least.
That sent him straight on into the barrier at Saint-Devote.
Still in the car. And that's where he crashed last year, didn't he? He broke his hand.
It is, yeah.
Exactly the same place. So
you can see the witness marks on the barrier on the left-hand side.
Speed up, you can exceed 50 kilometers per hour.
Okay, so that's good news for Sam, but he will be going. I can't see them cancelling the rest of the session. I can see them going back out. But let's work out first of all what happened to Sam Bird. Oh! Locked up. Straight off to the scene of the crash.
quite tell if he touched the barrier on the left.
Well, there certainly was the banner, or the sort of stick-on graphics on the left, where, of course, they're going to be very frustrated. I don't think it'll be too long. Now they've got that car up in the air. Yeah, you see what led to him touching the barrier on the left.
He kept his hands on the wheel, though, for that first time. He's taken them off now, but considering his experience last year,
but how are these drivers going to manage this outlap? They want to go as fast as they can to get heat into the tyres, but also they've got to balance that with trying to find some clear track.
Yeah, they're going to try and back each other up here before going out on track.
So let's look at when the last couple of cars come out, because that's where it gets a bit tight. So 2:12 angle coming through to back now, where it all will start to get a bit tight.
Yeah, it certainly will do. 40 seconds left on the clock. We look at Cassidy in the Jaguar. The advantage of being at the far end of pit lane means that he's got clear track in front of him now to go and run his own lap. So he's 1.8 seconds off the ultimate.
Here we go.
So Cassidy across the timing line, then checkered flag is out. He goes to the top of the pile with a 1:53.9. But that knocks Cassidy down to second. And then we see Buemi going fastest as well. It is going to be a case of last drive to cross the line, surely. What about Dennis? He goes up to third quickest, pushes Cassidy now out of the session as Bird goes up into second. Gunther also improving for DS. Up where, though, for the duels. So Oliver Rowland versus Antonio Felix Acosta up first. We'll have Ticton versus De Vries afterwards, then Van Dorn, Bird, Gunther. The fact that we see drivers fighting for traction and for control, Karun, I think that's going to be a very welcome addition.
Yeah, I mean, it's for them, it's an amazing gift to have four-wheel drive here. But look at that, Acosta, this outlap
is a lot drier than it has been.
Look at Acosta in the tunnel where it's dry. He's doing, these little burnouts.
He went on to win. Rowland cruelly denied pole position yesterday after a trip into the barriers in the finals. But we look then at Rowland coming up through the hill into Saint-Devote as Da Costa winds himself up for his one and only flying lap. Rowland nice and neat and tidy through the first corner as he begins to climb.
So Da Costa's just trying to get the nose in, and the early part of the lap as Da Costa gets up Massenet.
Giving themselves more racetrack to play with as well. If you're doing everything a bit earlier, if it goes wrong, you've got more space.
As he exits Anthony Noakes, comes to the timing line, and it looks like it will be the end of Da Costa's road here in the quarterfinals. He takes the checkered flag, come 1.4 seconds off at the end of that session.
Yeah, just didn't have the confidence, it never hooked it up around
Oliver Rowland. Let's have a look then at quarterfinal 2. Dan Ticton versus Nick De Vries. I can't call this one, to be completely honest with you. Ticton, this one and only flying lap in this session. Just a bit of background for you. Ticton unlucky in FP3 this morning to have his session ended after a big snap of oversteer through the swimming pool chicane. It sent the car into like a reset mode, essentially. He came to a stop at Raskas, and then that ended his session 10 minutes early, caused a lengthy red flag, and essentially more risk.
Yeah, 3.5 tenths in just under odd is that's quite a big margin.
Yeah, De Vries though with the advantage in that first sector, so down through Mirabeau and in towards the Fairmont hairpin. Armfuls of block there for Dan Ticktum. First sector time for Ticktum was, I think, he'll be going through into the semi-finals against Oliver Rowland. Here is the Dutchman, the former world champion, out of the final corner now and across the timing line. What is the lap time going to be here for him? Because last time we saw a 1:48 flat for Oliver Rowland and a 1:48.1 for Nick De Vries. So not quite the same pace.
But I would keep pushing him in on the in-lap because, as you say, David, it's just more practice, isn't it?
Yep. More knowledge,
But
yes, you're giving
him like there's something he's not happy with in terms of the setup or the tyre choice or tyre pressures or something else.
Very true.
So we can get maybe Saunders to go investigate that.
Good idea. Stoffel Van Dorn versus Jean-Eric Verne then for quarter-final 3. Let's see how this one works out. Two previous Monaco E-Prix winners. Verne won here in 2019, Van Dorn in 2022. They were both. So let's hope he doesn't lose too much time there. But what about Jean-Eric Verne and his run through the first couple of corners? Well, he's coming over the timing line now. Class of performance for these drivers. First sector time goes in favour of Jean-Eric Verne by 9/10 of a second. So the margin's definitely a lot bigger in these wet conditions.
Again, I think it's if you go out and suddenly it's all talking to you, confidence, you just, yeah, it goes off the scale. Really, really difficult conditions, even though it's not raining. It's just constant wet.
So Van Dorn's going to have to hope for a mistake here for Jean-Eric Verne. He's starting to done his best for the MSG team's home race here as they come to the timing line. Out of the final corner and across the line we go for Jean-Eric Verne. And he comes over the line 0.8 of a second faster than Stoffel Van Dorn, a 1:48.4. So the track definitely not as quick as it has been, certainly. And I wonder whether the rain falling down now is starting to affect things a bit. Mentioned damage there, otherwise it would have been crabbing like a shopping trolley. Thankfully, all okay for Jean-Eric Verne. Quarter-final 4 then, Max Günther versus Sebastian Buemi. Pretty even Stevens in terms of how you think it's going to work out on the formulaE predictor. But Buemi has got a lot of momentum behind him. He was exceptionally fast at the end of the group stages of qualifying. Pulled out a gap of about 1.8 seconds over his previous best lap time. But it's Günther in the DS Penske who was first on the road. He'll know there's enough grip there. He's just seen his teammate going better. Stoffel Van Dorn in the Maserati. It's nice and easy through the first corner there. Full section, and that could be the moment that undoes his qualifying performance. And he's outpaced Sebastian Buemi at the end of this one then. Across the timing line comes Günther, 1:48.6 for him. Buemi some 0.7 of a second off, but we'll wait for some news to see whether that lap could be under investigation. It has been deleted. So Buemi's lap time's been deleted for track limits at turn 11, so he must have had a moment at the Nouvelle chicane as well. So, well, this is a bit of a stalemate going on there between these two drivers. If Günther's lap time gets deleted as well. Günther has made it through, according to what we can see, though.
Yeah, but hang on.
He's into the broadcast. But let's guide you through how we've got to the semi-finals and the lineup here for round 7. So we had Rowland versus Da Costa, Ticktum versus De Vries, Van Dorn versus Verne, and then Buemi versus Günther. The upshot is...
Download and watch it live on Sport TV Now app.